Looks like everyone's been assigned a room, so it's going to be us to kick this off and start the tours. My name's Burns. I work for Facing Homelessness and the Block Project. I'm in charge of construction of the Block Project, and I'll be talking a lot about more of that at length. Alongside me is George, and George, feel free to say what you'd like to yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I'm here, co-hosting with Burns, and I'm with Mighty Energy Solutions, and we're real happy, along with the manufacturer of the panel, to have supplied the heat for the block project homes with our heating panels, which are infrared radiant panels. I'll show you later if you're interested. But in any case, I'm also here to support and here to answer questions I can, and we'll let Burns take it away.
Well, I'll give you a brief introduction about the nonprofit Facing Homelessness, and then we'll talk more about the actual block home itself and everything that it's about. Facing Homelessness started about 11 years ago. The founder of this nonprofit was an architect who had an office along the Fremont Canal where lots of unhoused people would frequent. And he quickly found that the stereotypes that are portrayed about people that are unhoused weren't matching up to the people that he was meeting. So he started this Facebook page where he shared black and white photos of people living outside and their stories. And it quickly blossomed into a following that now has 50,000 followers on Facebook. And it was really just a page to share stories, and it breaks down the stereotypes of people living unhoused. He started this nonprofit that's all about putting people's passions and skills in a direction towards ending homelessness, and it's all about community. Being that he is an architect, one of his big passions was, obviously designing things. And that's how the Block Project kind of began. And it was the ultimate expression of the mission of Facing Homelessness, which is to come closer and use people's passions and skills towards the effort of ending homelessness. We think coming closer is a huge aspect of our problems, that those that are closest to the problems are the ones closest to the solutions. And part of the reason that we have such a bad unhoused crisis is because community is just not close enough. And yeah, we feel that community is the key part of the solution towards ending homelessness. So that's Facing Homelessness a little bit in a nutshell. And with the Block Project, it is the ultimate expression of coming closer, where homeowners across Seattle are volunteering their backyards to have Facing Homelessness build a self-sufficient tiny home in their backyard that has a kitchen and a bathroom to welcome the unhoused to become our neighbors. And so I'll start sharing my screen now so you can get a visual of what these homes look like. And Greg and Rena, I would really appreciate you just interrupting me, providing your feedback, live commentary throughout, because I get tired of hearing my own voice, and I would like this to be a dialogue as much as possible. So here in this screen, that's actually our 10th block home. I'll talk a little bit more about why that home in particular is unique. Yeah, there are 230 square feet, 130 square feet of interior living space. I might be biased, and I would challenge anyone to find a more green tiny home or just home in general than the ones we're building. They are going to be certified by the International Living Future Institute, which is headquartered here in Seattle. Our homes are Living Building Challenge certified, which is the most green, rigorous building standard that exists in the world, pretty much. I guess I'll back up and just explain a little bit more about the model. Hosts volunteer their backyards for us to place a block home. Facing Homelessness owns the block home. We sign a 5-year ground lease agreement with the property owners to reserve the rights to the home. And thus we alleviate the landlord-tenant relationship from ever occurring between the property owner and the people actually living in the block homes themselves, and allow them to just be neighbors. Our residents, the people living in the block homes, are referred to us through 5 partnerships with different social case management agencies, and that is Chief Seattle Club, Mary's Place, Sound Health, Real Escape from Sex Traffic, and the last one is Lake City Partners. And so all our residents living in a block home don't just get placed in a block home and that's it. They have continued social services from their social case management provider. And we also have a companionship program. Facing Homelessness has over 2,000 volunteers, and a lot of them have volunteered to stay in touch with our residents on a weekly basis to provide companionship. And we're about to launch a resident errand support program where community comes even closer to be more involved with people living in our homes. And beyond providing the land and beyond providing companionship for our residents, our community members are also building the homes. I'll be really excited to share some more slides with you further on, but we built the first 9 homes with general contractors. And what's really special about this home here is it was entirely built by volunteers that didn't need to have carpentry experience. We have a prefabrication operation at a warehouse in Georgetown with the clever use of jigs. We're having volunteers who have never used a saw or a hammer before build modules, which are basically insulated panels that click together on site. And Northwest Eco Builders have been incredible supporters of the block project. I know that we've been in conversation with them for quite a few years, and I'm in charge of construction of the block project, and I've been in charge of building every single one. And I can tell you there are a lot of volunteers that have come through from the Northwest Eco Builders that have provided a ton of support when it was, more challenging to build block homes. That was super meaningful and really helped me get through building the first 10 block homes.
Yeah. So, how high is your ceiling?
Yeah, 8 feet.
And the radiant heating panel on the ceilings, right? For heat?
Yep.
How does that feel? Like, what's the real world of I'm always interested in ceiling panels. Sometimes like you can get a kind of a hot spot on the top of your head, but they work really well. So I'm trying to, what's it like to live with one?
Well, our residents say it feels like sunlight and it's warm, but obviously, it has some limitations. If you have cold feet, it's probably not your best solution, but I don't see there being any other solution for a block home for providing heat.
Yeah, I think there's a 250 watt panel in there.
Yep.
Which speaks volumes to the tightness. I think Burns, you mentioned there's a heat recovery ventilation in there and everything. And
yep, we use the Lumos T2.
I mean, if you remember back in the day, right, 100 watt light bulb. I mean, you're basically less than 3 100 watt light bulbs to heat the space. So,
what's the square footage?
The square footage of the home is 130 square feet interior, 230 overall. We have that porch and closet out front.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to build bigger block homes, but we'll have to be more picky about the properties in order to do that. And we'll need more resources to build bigger block homes. I'm going to just move through the slides, and I think that'll give some greater context because I'm just rambling a little bit right here about each piece of the block project and what makes it possible. So one major ingredient obviously is the home, and the home is the byproduct of all the things that I had been mentioning. Here you can see the floor plan of the home, and it's a very efficient use of space. We would love to build bigger block homes at some point, but obviously that would constrain us by the amount of backyards we can place block homes in. It's 130 square feet of interior space. And so basically with this floor plan, if you can see it, you'd walk through the entry door, and to the left is a toilet and a shower. Straight in front of you is this kitchenette with a sink and a cooktop and a fridge that divides the kitchen space to more cabinets, and a trundle bed on casters that gets rolled under the cabinets to be a couch by day and rolled out to be a bed at night. And then a fold-out table. Really simple design. We're taking advantage of every square inch of space in this home, as well as our residents are. Beyond that, you have, the porch in the front and an outdoor storage closet to provide more storage space for our residents. Inside, this is what you can expect. We clear coat plywood. All of the lumber on our block homes comes from Sustainable Northwest Woods. They're in Portland, Oregon. They're one of the only wood and lumber yards that manufactures and maintains the FSC Forest Stewardship Council chain of custody. We are building block homes to the highest green standard, and we want to make sure that wherever the lumber is being sourced from is being done so sustainably. And basically inside of a block home, you'll see clear coated plywood that's sustainably sourced. The cabinets are built out of Europly, which is sourced from Columbia Forest Products. It already comes pre-finished, so it's a really great product for us. And this is the basic interior of the home. The other one main ingredient, obviously, are the people willing to host one of these block homes in their backyard. And they're some of the most beautiful people you'd ever meet that make volunteering their backyard seem like such a simple act of compassion. And they range from single grandmothers to young families with children. Just some of the most beautiful people you'd ever meet. They don't get any net benefit out of this situation. They don't get any property tax deductions or benefits from the government. We piggyback on all their utilities. Facing Homelessness pays for them. One thing I didn't mention about the home is that we put 10 solar panels on them. And so the hosts don't have to pay for electricity because we're actually producing more electricity than we're consuming. And then the cost for water and sewer is about $1 a day. And Facing Homelessness pays for that sometimes, but a lot of the hosts volunteer to do that. The other huge part of our block homes, obviously, are the people living in them. We have 11 homes built to date. We have 10 completed. We're in the middle of construction of our 11th one. And it was just within 2020 that we finally got 10 residents all living in block homes. And we're learning a lot as we now have people living in block homes. And they're really becoming the compass and guide to this project. Obviously, all the work we do, if our residents aren't having, good experiences, it wouldn't mean anything. But we're really proud to share that, through our 4 years of existence, the block project was started in 2017. That none of our residents have returned to homelessness, and that's 12 different residents that have lived in our 10 block homes. So we're really proud of that, being that, this is such a radical and new idea, and we're doing a lot of things that's never been done before. And then obviously a huge aspect of the block project is community. Community builds these homes, Habitat for Humanity style. But it doesn't just go from, they don't just provide sweat to build the block homes. They actually, most of our money funding the block homes actually comes from private donations. We definitely get some grants and we got a little bit of government money, but over 90% of funding of the block project came from community members and private donations. Beyond the labor, obviously I shared that they're providing continued engagement and companionship to our residents once they move into a block home. So this is our shop down in Georgetown. It's really close to the Duwamish River off of 8th and Marginal. We're so excited about this place. It's been open. We moved into this place in February 2020, just before the pandemic. And we outfitted this shop so that anyone without prior building experience can come work on building block homes. And we're building block homes with volunteers with better precision and quality than we had when we were hiring high-end carpenter or general contractors like Schultz Miller or Dow Built. It's really incredible what volunteers can accomplish inside the shop. So this next slide, you can see a little bit of what you might anticipate in the shop. What you see here is a handful of volunteers putting Havelock wool insulation in the cavity of our walls. Havelock wool is literally sheep's wool, and it's a great product, has lots of good thermal properties, but most of all, you wouldn't normally, in a non-COVID year, see people wearing face masks. You can rub this product on your face and don't have to deal with formaldehydes or itchy fiberglass. It's a great product, and it captures carbon versus creating carbon when it's manufactured. So anyways, what you see behind those people is a stack of jigs. And basically a jig is a framing table that only allows certain pieces that have to be cut the right way in order for it to actually fit. And yeah, we have really amazing documentation like Lego building or like IKEA furniture building that takes volunteers step by step through the process where they don't even have to think. They just have to look at some pictures to understand how to put these modules, which are basically insulated panels, together. This is an example of the documentation I'm talking about. And here you get to see a little bit of the sequence of actually putting the home together. And over to the left, you can see how we lay out our foundation. And we're using diamond piers, which are amazing. Basically, they're these concrete blocks that have 4 holes at 45-degree angles. And we pile drive with a jackhammer a 1-inch steel galvanized conduit or pipe 3.5 feet into the ground at 5 degrees in 4 different locations of each pier block. We have 10 pier blocks for the foundation of the block home. And what I love about it is instead of digging a yard of dirt out of the ground, putting in forms and mixing a yard of concrete, we just place these 10 piers and jackhammer the pins of the steel pipe into the ground, and it takes half a day instead of a day and a half. And it doesn't disturb the water table beneath the ground, and it's easily removable. I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but being that I'll just talk about it now. Block homes, being that we don't own the land, it's only a matter of time that our hosts are going to want to have a changing life circumstance. And as we build more and more of these homes, it's only inevitable that one of our hosts won't be able to have a block home in their backyard to house, someone unhoused. And so we've designed these homes so that we can take them apart. And the reason they come together so easily by volunteers is because we've thought through how to take them apart and salvage almost 100% of all building materials outside of the site utilities. We can preserve and salvage almost 100% of the building materials and move it from one site to the next and deconstruct it in only 2 days. So yeah, here in the middle side, you can see how these modules, the floors, click together, slide in together, and then get screwed down together. And then you can see over on the right how, yeah, some of the siding, the rain screen siding gets hung on it. But we have really great documentation for the whole thing. So yeah, this is like the first slide I showed. This is our 10th block home. Not much of a difference between our older homes that I showed earlier, except for this rain screen siding, which is made out of juniper. We really like this product because it lasts longer than cedar, and it's choking out biodiversity where we are harvesting it out of Eastern Oregon. And so it has a couple benefits. One, it's durability. And then 2, it's allowing for greater biodiversity where it's being harvested. So it's just another example of how we're trying to thoughtfully select all materials that go into a block home. And while we're trying to create some good here, we're doing our best to make sure that harm isn't being created around other parts of the world where there's damaging manufacturing processes that are harmful to environments where they're actually being manufactured. This is our 9th block home, and this is the older design with the sheet metal siding, and it is not deconstructible. This is a very unique home for us though, because it allowed us, and it was our first home that allowed us to accomplish the Living Building Challenge certification. Back here in the corner, you might be able to see in the center of the screen, this 1,500-gallon cistern. This is the first potable rainwater harvesting system that's legal here in King County. We piloted a rainwater harvesting collection system program with King County Public Health. And yeah, all the rainwater is being collected from the roof, fed into this 1,500-gallon cistern, and then being pumped and filtered to provide water to the shower and to the sink. We have a composting toilet here. And yeah, so far it's going pretty well.
And the filtration system, it looks like it's on top of the tank, which I've never seen before.
So on top of that tank, that's just a screen for preventing leaks and
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see.
the filtration system is actually inside of this closet, this exterior closet,
okay.
and it's got 2 mechanical cartridges and then a UV bulb to just overkill, make sure there's no contamination in the water.
What kind of cartridge?
It's like Pentac. I don't know. It's just like if you've replaced cartridges in your hot tub, it's just 2 paper cartridges like that. And then yeah, and those are the primary means of filtering the water, and then it goes to the UV bulb last.
I mean, I guess it's rainwater, so it's not exactly like it's already been through a
Yeah.
filtration of being evaporated.
As long as it's not September of 2020.
When you have smoke,
Yeah.
really makes that pretty acidic.
Yeah. But we passed our water test. We submitted a water test in October of 2020, right after all that activity and smoke in the air. So the filters do a pretty damn good job.
Cool.
Any questions so far? I'm going to talk about kind of like the 5 core elements of what we think is most important about the block project. But yeah, I'd like to invite questions at this point.
You just answered some.
All right.
Speaking of the allowed in King County, what have you had any issues with permitting and such from the cities?
No, yeah, we've got the beauty of building the same thing all the time is we have a standard plan. And so the city only has to review the zoning of our block homes or the site plan for zoning purposes. We also get expedited review. So as soon as someone misses their intake date, we fall in line for a permit. And so we're getting permits within 2 to 4 months, which is a lot better than other people in Seattle. But that's the benefit of having a standard plan and taking care of, a pretty urgent situation. That's been a declared crisis in the city for over 6 years now.
What's your biggest hold up or obstacle to scaling up to many more?
Yeah, thank you. When we first launched the project, the first thing that was us choking was obvious. It was construction. But now with the shop, the block shop and this new process, we can honestly build a block home a week out of the shop. Our biggest constraint at this point is finding more people that are willing to have one in their backyard, and then money. What's been beautiful about the block project is we've never had to do any outward reach or marketing to find people who want one in their backyard. They've all reached out to us. We've never reached outward, and this is going to be the first year where we actually start a host recruitment campaign. We're gonna try to, out of our 2,000 volunteers and our giant community of partners, we're going to launch a campaign where people can volunteer to become an ambassador and reach out within their networks to find people that are willing to have one in their backyard and spread the word about the block project. Really hopeful for how that may turn out. So yeah, it comes down to funding, it comes down to hosts. I think we have a pretty complete business plan. If we have a bunch of hosts, that there's going to be philanthropy and people willing to put money towards this project, because we are building housing with community, and this housing is supported by community in every way, cheaper than the market rate by a ton. Low-income housing in Seattle has an entry point price of $330,000 a unit. A block home costs $75,000. The average DADU, detached accessory dwelling unit development in Seattle, is $180,000. So we're really crushing it. We're building the most sustainable homes, green homes, and because of our clever use of community labor and free land, yeah, we're building homes that are just ridiculously cheaper than any other solution out there. What I also like to talk about is, this unhoused crisis that we have here in Seattle is going to stay for a long time until we can have some radical ideas and solutions to change it. The median price of a home, as you may know, in Seattle is $800,000, and 3/4 of Seattle's land is zoned for single family zoning. So they're right in our zoning policies is pretty exclusive towards only people that have a lot of money. What's beautiful about the block project is we're building these low income houses that are permanent in that 75% of available land, which fosters, cross-class integration and inclusion that no other low income housing solution can offer right now.
For that 75,000 to build, how much of it do you have to come up with before you can start building? Does that have to be in hand?
Yeah, we have to come up with $75,000 in order to build a block home. We've been getting lots of in-kind contributions. I have like an electrician working for free in a block home, but that $75,000 includes their in-kind value. It's the total cost. If you had to go build a block home, it would cost $75,000.
Mm-hmm. Have you had to deal with the huge jump in lumber prices?
It's definitely affected it, and it includes the extra cost. Hopefully those drop, but yeah, it definitely added a solid premium to it.
Yeah. Well, building the interior design is quite nice.
Thank you.
Plywood.
So I've probably spoken to our 5 core values quite a bit. Affordable, I just talked about how affordable the block project is compared to other low-income housing solutions, but also compared to DADU, traditional developments. It's really hard to find any that are under 6 figures, and the average cost is $180,000. Block homes are sustainable, obviously, through accomplishing the Living Building Challenge, and supported wide and far. We leverage community support in every aspect of this project that we possibly can. I talked about the integrated aspects that we're building, housing in opportunity-rich neighborhoods, fostering cross-class inclusion, and then dignified. We want to build beautiful homes, and we don't only just build homes and place them in people's backyards, but we landscape them, and we usually spend about $2,000 on plants, install flagstone, and pavers to build beautiful patios and settings that are biophilic, and yeah, really make the home feel way more dignified and intentional than just a shed in your backyard.
That looks cool. Looks really cool.
Yeah, that's our old design. It had sheet metal siding. We now have that juniper, and those first 9 homes are not deconstructible. This is just a simple graphic showing, because of our modular design, all we have to do is add a couple wall and floor panels, and we can make it bigger to suit another bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
We'll need bigger properties and more money to do that. Yeah, we just got clearance to sell block homes too. Really curious to see how that might play out in the market.
Well, we definitely have a buzz. So, I mean, to say the tiny house space has got a lot of buzz. It usually is, the romance is over when the price comes in.
Yeah, so DADU developments in Seattle cost $180,000 on average.
Right.
We're building them for $75,000. Obviously, the cost would be a bit different for other folks to buy the kit of parts from us and put it together themselves. But that
Mhm.
75 grand for us includes 10 solar panels. It includes all the labor, it includes the permit, includes the foundation.
Pretty
It's the
low.
whole thing.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really proud of it.
How you got an expectation of how much you might get out there in 2021?
Yep, we've got a fundraiser on Thursday to raise the amount of money needed to build 5 this year. So yeah, we're at block home. We're in the middle of constructing block home 11, and our goal is to get to 15 by the end of this year. And pretty much going forward, this project's going to grow at the pace that community can provide. And at its current form, most of our donations come from private donors and community. And so, yeah, we're going to be running a host recruitment campaign this year, which will be the first time we've ever done that. We've never had to reach outward to recruit hosts, and we're really hopeful for how it might play out with a little bit of a marketing campaign run grassroots style by all of our ambassadors and closest partners promoting the project. I think if we're able to build a solid backlog of hosts, we should be able to find funding for this project, because low-income housing in Seattle has a going rate of $330,000 a unit. Ours are done at $75,000. And whereas those other units at $330,000 are built in zoning that is suitable for low-income housing, our homes are built in single-family zoned neighborhoods, which is 75% of land across Seattle, where the average price of a home is $800,000. So our solution is really unique because it places those that don't have in neighborhoods that have that are opportunity rich, and it fosters, cross-class integration and inclusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. Well, good for you. I'm impressed. It's a good project and a good looking structure.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a gift and a privilege to be a part of it and build all the block homes. Seattle needs this solution to thrive, because it involves everyone. And yeah, that's what Facing Homelessness's mission is all about. Is it's all about proximity. We don't gain anything by staying removed from an issue, and when we get involved in community, we can make miracles happen, kind of like what the Block Project is in my mind.
Yeah, I think it was about 2 years ago. 10 Penny Studio fostered a little event for tiny houses. It was like a kind of like an open house on tiny houses, but it was, like a convention, but on the micro scale, and they were kind of overwhelmed. Did you happen to go to that? It was in Columbia City.
No, I didn't. I'm aware of 10 Penny though. They do cool work.
Yeah, I work with them here and there. They got this little, used to be a church, very small little church, and it's turned into like a meeting hall, and they got that set up for this little convention. Had the idea of, maybe 10, 15 different people set up tables, and there were so many people in there that it was completely overwhelmed. They were unable to, you couldn't talk. They were supposed to have breakout meetings, and we had to like go walk out into the park to have them because there's just so many people in there. It was loud and I think they thought it was. I think they underestimated the popularity of tiny houses and that and the fact that probably just getting a cheap place to have a little convention. But man, there was hundreds of people in a place that could just barely stand them.
Yeah.
It's been popular a very long time. I mean, the at the beginning of trying to put small livable structures in the backyard, the city fought that. It was very difficult. It seemed like take nearly 10 years to get them to accept it, and when they did, that only accepted it in certain neighborhoods as a pilot. And it's kind of now it feels like it's coming into fruition.
Well, yeah, the new ordinance that passed in 2019 definitely helped us. We had quite a few hosts that we wouldn't have been able to pursue should that have ordinance not passed. But where it helped us most was you used to not be able to have ADUs and DADUs. Now you can have both in Seattle, where you have, a second kitchen in your main unit, and then also have a detached unit. That helped us out probably more than anything else.
Because the people that were open to it were already doing what they could. And I get that.
Yep.
This for a long time. I mean, I don't know, the city didn't really talk about it, but at the end of the day, it was because you're kind of turning residential properties into duplexes. And that has, the NIMBY thing, not in my backyard. The neighbors get upset about that because it's effectively kind of skirting the single family home idea. So
it's going to be a challenging cultural value to break. Like I said, the average price of a home is $800,000 in Seattle, and we've lost 112,000 affordable units in the past decade, all the while having 125,000 new people move to this city. It's had a profound effect on people living unhoused. And we're especially seeing it after a year of COVID, where there's a 50% increase in tents you see out in neighborhoods. And the chance to be a NIMBY in regards to homelessness is over, because whether or not you like it, it's in your backyard. And so we need lots of DADU solutions. We need lots of urban density solutions. The challenge is 75% of land in Seattle is zoned single family. And no one wants a 5-story, high rise in their neighborhood. But I don't see any other solution to taking care of all the housing that's actually needed here in Seattle.
Yeah, it seems like the city's plan, again, I don't really mean to say it's a plan, but the sort of the path would be to build these little micro villages and then get people a little more used to it, sort of like the tip of the spear. So have you seen like the map where all the little villages are kind of expanding zoning? They kind of pop the little village in, so it kind of creates a denser urban pocket, and they sort of sprinkle them around, and then they're going to just have those pockets spread out.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of get people used to it. But the funny thing is for all this, sometimes I just like to break it down to highly simple terms, because it's really, human nature is actually not that complicated when you get a broad enough perspective. But a lot of the argument people would have against all the spreading out of DADUs and ADUs, it comes down to parking. The streets are full of cars. And so they go, well, if there's more people over there, then there's going to be more cars on the street. And I can't, Seattle largely is not a city that has garages. Only those homes built in 45, 55, 53 to 60, late 60s are, commonly have garages. And then of course, all the new construction that is just recently popped up, but all those homes, half the homes are built in early 1900s. And, if they had a garage, it was capable of putting a cart and buggy in it, not a car. That means almost all the old Seattleites that have an old home are parking on the street. Unless you had a mansion version of a 2008 Craftsman, which there's only a few neighborhoods that even have those in Seattle. So they're parking on the street. Well, when was the last time you drove down a Seattle residential neighborhood street? It's pretty much wall-to-wall cars.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's how neighbors interact with each other. Bouncing in each other's cars along the street. It's one of the things they don't want to see is more. Well, how do you solve that? You get rid of the cars. Then suddenly there's room for more people.
Well, one of the things too that they find out obviously is you provide more lanes on the highway or space for the cars and you get more cars. So the counter idea is that if it becomes more and more inconvenient to have a car,
right,
then people will find alternatives. And
that wave has started happening by method or circumstance with the rise of all these recent transportation things like Uber and millennials that don't want cars and micro housing and all this all coming together. But oddly enough, until there was starting to have that, well, it's very difficult to get stuff like this to happen.
Yeah, with that, I welcome questions.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. That was very interesting. I've been this is Michelle. I've been working with the tiny homes a little bit at Camp Second Chance, and then they've moved on and also got much more organized and streamlined and efficient in their building. So it's just amazing to hear how you all are able to do so much more with so much less now. But I wanted to ask, are there any like single moms with kids, or is anybody bringing a pet into any of these homes?
Yep. There's a few with cats in them. We don't have one with a dog yet. We've had 2 homes with a mother and infant living in them. Yeah, that's only suitable for only as long. I mean, obviously at 130 square feet, it's not the most suitable place for a mother and an infant as the infant grows. We just had one of our residents move out just last week, but she lived in there for 2 years, which was an incredible option for her compared to what her other options were. And yeah, we were really proud, and it was a treat to see her child grow in a block home.
Yeah. Can you say again where the prefab work is going on? And then I assume we can just go to your website to find out where to volunteer.
Yep. So at our website, there's a get involved button, and there you can go to Volunteer Hub and create an account to be apprised of all of our volunteer opportunities. Our shop is located in Georgetown off of 8th and Marginal. And Michelle, being that you know Camp Second Chance, did you get to know Tomas while he was working there?
Yes, quite well.
Cool. Then you know he's been a part of Facing Homelessness in the Block Project too.
Yeah, I have. I think I've heard him give a presentation on these houses as well.
Yeah, he's been an amazing guy, and he made that new design possible.
Yeah. So another question is that for the tiny homes, they require a 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. volunteer shift, and I can do an hour here, an hour there, so I really haven't been involved anymore. Do you have some flexibility in that?
Yeah.
Shift
Typically, Yeah, you can come to the shop. I would say in a month, we'll have regular opportunities available at the shop. The way that Tomas ran it in the past was volunteers could kind of come and go as they please. When it comes to on-site activities like landscaping and putting the home together, we do like to have people sign up for shifts, and they're usually from 9:30 to 12:30 and then 1 to 4. But it's a lot often on weekends, not just during the week.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
if you have ideas about how you can contribute, feel free to email me and I'd be happy to get you further engaged in opportunities.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks. All right, well, I'm going to sign off. That was a great presentation. Thanks.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Michelle.
thanks for coming by,
Jennifer, it looks like you asked us a question. Yeah, so the volunteer opportunities for this year, they'll be created as we are able to plan them a little bit more. There's a lot involved to scheduling construction. We need permits, we need ground leases. Yeah, so the best thing to do is to create an account and make sure to check the box that says I am interested in the block project. As soon as volunteer opportunities are created, it's usually created a week in advance. You would know then to sign up for an opportunity if it fits your schedule. But generally speaking, there's so many sequences and things involved with scheduling construction. We can't create events with super advanced notice. It's a week by week basis. But I promise you that come next month, there'll be more routine volunteer opportunities being published on the Volunteer Hub website. Yeah, I'm really proud of the way we're building our homes. It really is unprecedented. There's nothing else like it. There's no other tiny home developer that can literally take finished insulated walls and make them click together and pull apart. Our homes are meant to last. If we left them standing, they would last 50 plus years, but because we can move them around, they're really meant to last forever. They're a big investment. We have to, beg for every dollar we spend. And so the $75,000 that goes into our block homes are a precious investment. And so we're super proud of the fact that we can make sure that they always stay on a balance sheet and not get written off when a host says they don't want to be a part of the program anymore or is unable to be a part of one any longer.
Yeah, so JB asked about the foundation system, and is it seismic tested?
Yeah, thank you. We use diamond Piers, which is incredible because it goes right along with our modularity. We installed 10 diamond Piers that are just basically concrete blocks with holes in them, and we drive with a jackhammer 3.5 foot long steel pipes in these piers, and it locks the piers into place. And we no longer have to remove a yard of dirt out of the ground, put in forms, tie rebar, and mix a yard of concrete. We just place these 10 and we can get it done in 4 hours, where it used to take us a day and a half to install the foundation. And if we have to take these homes apart, we can take the foundation right along with it, and it doesn't disturb the water table. And we really love these products.
Ernst, I have a bunch of questions. Can I just do them verbally?
Fire away, please. Questions.
All right, I want to go back to the beginning. So did you say 2011 is when the project started?
Facing Homelessness started in 2010. The block project launched in 2017.
17, okay. So over 5 years, maybe a little less, you built 10 houses, I was like.
Yep.
Okay.
4 years.
So 4 years roughly, okay. So I'm just wondering about how things happen in the city. Is a block home considered an ADU, or do you have a special exception from the city for these?
It's considered a DADU. We get all these homes permitted.
Okay. And this number of 10, is that because of available land, or is there resistance, like neighborhood resistance to this, or,
Yeah.
COVID, I don't know, a bunch of things. Okay.
Yeah. So Facing Homelessness in 2017 was basically a storytelling nonprofit with its Facebook page. We also had the Window of Kindness. We've now become a developer and a construction company. And all that work to get to building homes like we are now, the shop can honestly build a home a week. Took a Herculean effort. And yeah, there was a big learning curve to figure out how to build these things. Our first 9 homes relied on general carpenters and general contractors. And we had some incredible partners that volunteered to help us out. But we were begging for a community of people to build block homes that are working overtime right now. The supply for construction labor and the demand for it were unsustainable to be a part of this project. And that's why we came up with this revolutionary way of building block homes. Now construction is no longer constricting the growth of block homes. It now comes down to finding more people willing to have one in their backyard, as well as getting more money to build these block homes.
Let's see, okay. So regarding money, you said it's a $75,000 cost to build one of these. That, I mean, the house itself, the materials probably aren't that much. I'm assuming this is like the package price, 75 with utilities and other expenses.
Yep, utilities, solar panels. The materials are actually about $35,000 to $40,000, and probably a little bit more than that now that lumber is so expensive.
Right. Yeah, that's my next question for you. Are you like thinking about other materials now because of the lumber situation, like metal or?
No, we aren't. We've spent quite a bit of time getting our shop to where it's at. And even with the 200 to 300% cost increase in lumber, yeah, going to any other material would be reinventing the wheel and take a lot of R&D and wouldn't be cost efficient. Hopefully the lumber prices, drop again, but obviously it's not going to happen for a while. What other questions do you have?
I got 2 more. So one is actually 3. Let's see if we can do them quick. The rainwater that you're collecting in the cistern and then using it as potable water, is there a treatment system along with that, or you just? And I see it's a metal roof, right? You're taking it right off.
It's a metal roof. It gets fed into that cistern. From the cistern, it gets pumped through 2 mechanical cartridges and then a UV bulb.
Got it. Okay. And it sounds like panelized construction burn, right? You're actually building panels in the factory that you're bringing to site. Yeah. So what are you doing for the deck? Is that
The deck is panelized as well. We call them modules. But yeah, it's basically 3 modules that click together. I think you might be able to see it in this slide. Not really. But there's 3 panels that make the deck.
Got it. And you use Havelock there as well for insulation? Or you have different?
We use Havelock in the walls and in the floors, and in the ceiling we use poly ISO.
Okay. All right, last question's about this 5-year commitment that a homeowner makes. What happens after the 5 years? Is it dismantled and moved?
We hopefully renew the lease, but if they just decline to participate any further, we would remove the home and move it to
that way.
Property.
Yep. Okay, got it. All right, thanks.
Sounds good. Any chance that this federal and state funding for homelessness might be able to be helping out with this situation?
It's possible, but there's a lot of restrictions and complications with taking that money.
Burns, have you been talking with the city about like these tiny home villages that they're creating? Would you be an element?
Yes, these tiny home villages that they are creating are transitional housing, and they're done by Low Income Housing Institute. Those homes, which aren't really homes, they're sheds, they're $2,500 a piece. So they're apples and oranges compared to our homes, because those homes don't have plumbing, they don't have a foundation, they're super transitional, and our homes are meant for people to live in as long as they need to. So it's an apples and oranges approach. We would love to collaborate with the city some more on some other solutions. But obviously, we're a big proponent for that transitional housing. Our solution is the next step, though. People need another place. They need a permanent place to call home, and not just a 100 square foot place with just an outlet and a light fixture to call home.
Are you guys net metered so that you're actually getting money back to the,
They quit doing that program in 2019.
uh,
Hopefully that starts again with a new administration.
so what do you do with the excess, electricity?
It gets fed to the grid.
Right, so they get it for free?
So basically, yeah, I mean, I don't, because it's tied to the main home panel,
Uh-huh.
it's offsetting their consumption.
Oh, I see, okay.
And so electricity, it's always going to travel to its, nearest place.
Right, I get it. Oh, no, that's better, actually.
Yeah, so the homeowners receive that benefit.
So it's like a
Yeah.
micro, it's like a micro grid kind of thing. You're getting like, that's cool. Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Richard asked, says, very impressive. What do you use for windows?
We get our windows from Euroclimb. They get them from Poland. They're triple paned, and we've tried to locally source them, but we're finding that you have to pay twice the price to get them locally sourced, which makes no sense. But it also tells you a little bit about how we build things in America. We build things to sell and not to last, and the manufacturing capabilities to produce windows that are meant to last hundreds of years is much cheaper in Europe because they actually sell enough to have the manufacturing capabilities to keep the cost down.
I'm wondering, I live in Spokane and I'm with a group that is gonna do a co-housing. And one of the things that we've talked about besides being multi-generational is that we want to include, because housing is so expensive, a way to include people who probably don't have the disposable income that we do. I'm wondering if this model if you were to get a piece of property with low density residential zoning, could you build part of this as part of your co-housing project?
Yeah. Right now we're staying, in Seattle, but it's only a matter of time that we're going to start selling our homes as kit parts for other people to assemble themselves. We've only built this new design twice, but we've got a lot of confidence that it's only a matter of time, that we'll be able to sell one of these kits and ship it in a container for other communities to build. And so, yeah, we'd be happy to provide the plans so you can get it permitted or for other people to incorporate them into their, projects. And because, yeah, I welcome you to go look at other prefab DADU solutions, but none of them are like ours. We designed ours so that you could actually get them through a 3-foot narrow pathway to get it into a backyard, whereas most prefab DADUs, you need a forklift, you need a clear site in order to build these things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So Lucy is asking about the bathroom. Can you go to the slide that shows, I guess, the,
Yeah. So that's it from a picture view. This is it from plan view. It's just the toilet and the shower.
all right. Richard wondered about, I kind of did too. He's wondering about, the drywall as a fire stop. So how does that work with the permitting and the clear coat plywood?
I mean, we're meeting Seattle building standards, which is more rigorous than 98% of places around the world. So we're not getting any exception. I do know that when we build within 10 feet of another property, that we need to introduce like 1 hour rated I'm not remembering the right word, envelope or wall assembly. So we add 1 inch of like Den's glass to the outside in order to do that. There might be, yeah, we don't get an exception to the code with our block homes, but I think there might be something a little bit different for DADUs.
And are you able to do these with universal design principles?
They're permitted through the city of Seattle, so universal design principles in regards to like accessibility and that.
Right, right. Shower access, door access.
That's our next hurdle. We definitely need to incorporate that into this project. It's definitely challenging to do that because most of our sites are in people's backyards, and so it doesn't even have an accessible entry point to begin with. But definitely need to make ADA accommodating unit at some point. But we'll have to be, more selective about the backyards we put them in. Right now, to date, there's only one property that we could actually have made ADA accessible. All the rest of them, you have to navigate quite a bit and do pretty big site improvements that would be really cost prohibitive to make it ADA accessible.
What's your mechanical like ventilation and your heating?
Great question. We have the Lunos HRV or Lunos E2 HRV unit that's available from 475 Building Solutions. They're about $1,000 and it provides all the ventilation and it preserves 90% of the heat and energy. And then for the heat panel, we get it from Mighty Energy Solutions. We got a 500 watt Duco-Terra radiant ceiling panel, and that provides all the heat that's needed in a block home.
And you have solar as well.
Yep.
So is it net zero or net positive?
It's net positive.
Wow. How much what kW do you need on the roof to do that?
We do 10 solar panels, so if each solar panel is 300 watts, it's 3 kilowatts. I think our homes are using about 2,000 kilowatts a year.
And then you have just a standard electric heater, or is that a hybrid?
It's the radiant ceiling panel.
Yeah. And with Mighty Energy Solutions, we, along with the manufacturer, I guess we can't really, I'm not really far enough away. I actually, hang on a second. Let me do this. Can I share the screen for a second? Burns?
Probably. I'll
Does that
stop.
work?
sharing.
I had it open.
By the way, are the internals available on your website?
Is what available on the website?
The internal photos that you were showing, are they available on your website?
There's a bunch of photos on our website. I can't tell you it's all the same ones. Theblockproject.org.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, the heating panels are far infrared heat. It's no moving parts. It's just a flat panel. Goes on the ceiling.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I keep getting backwards.
Yeah.
It's only about it's very, very thin. Doesn't take up any space. Perfect for tiny homes. And also, I just want to bring up again the living building challenge. The fact that they meet that and everything else, and the high performance means that you don't have to put a lot of wattage in there, so keeps it nice and warm and toasty for everyone. And yeah, so
how do you do your hot water?
We have we use the Eco Touch or Eco 11. It's instant hot water heater.
Oh, so it's kind of like an electric on demand.
Yep. Yeah, it helps preserve a lot of space.
Yeah. And is that enough for like a shower?
Yep. We use low gallon per minute, low flow fixtures. Only use 1.5 gallons per minute. So probably during the cold of winter, it might not provide enough hot water if you had both the shower and the sink running at the same time with hot water, but it does more than enough.
Very good. Eco 11.
Yep.
Electric heater. Boy,
They're-
that's come a long way.
They're a couple $100 and they require 60 amps.
60 amps. Okay.
Which is a lot of draw, but the way it's advertised is, if you use a tank water heater, you're constantly losing energy, right? It might have a smaller draw, but it's always radiating heat.
Right.
With an instant, you're only using it when you're using it. So
So that must be a really huge drop in your heating.
that's what they say. I can't tell you if it's much of a difference. I haven't measured it that precisely.
Yeah. And so that to get 60 amps, do you need a 240 breaker?
Yep.
Great. Well, boy, this was fantastic. I'm glad I made it just in time before you guys took off.
Right on.